mention it. But in the previous, in the Jamestown tribe, we used data directly from some of the continuous GPS stations, which I showed you. And I show one at the bottom there, which is from Friday Harbor, Washington, a community relatively near to the Strait of Juan de Fuca. One of the downsides of the continuous GPS data is that most of them are not located on the coast. Most of them are located some distance from the coast, and there's questions about how well they represent vertical land movement at the coast. So we wanted to try to address that using a different approach towards estimating vertical land movement. It's called double differencing. It's based on tide gauge data, and so the upper panel is just sort of a raw assessment that I wanted to illustrate. This basically involves differencing the monthly sea level records from two adjacent stations. And when you do that, most of the sea level variability between those two stations is shared. Things like El Nino events or particularly stormy months, for example, at which sea level might be elevated, those are experienced by both stations. They're removed by differencing. If you go to the bottom, I'm not sure if my mouse is visible in the screen, but on this bottom panel composed of those small black dots, when you difference them, what you get is this resulting trend that should be attributable just to the differences in vertical land movement between those two stations. And what you can get is a very nice, fairly high resolution estimate of the relative vertical land movement between these two stations. This happens to be between Friday Harbor and Seattle. For those of you that are familiar with the geography, those are about 60 miles apart from each other, perhaps as the crow flies. And basically this suggests that they're subsiding or that they're moving at different rates that differ by about 1 millimeter per year. So that's going to matter in regards to their sort of long-term sea level rise planning. So that gives us a relative rate. We then turn to a single GPS station. In our case, we used the station that you see down there based in Friday Harbor